Let's talk about user stories. We're calling this the art of human-centric user stories because honestly, most requirements just, well, they kind of suck, right? You know what I mean. We're going to look at the napkin sketch method. It's about getting back to basics, defining products for real humans so we don't end up confused like the guy on this slide. So yeah, let's dive in. Here's the problem. We say requirements, but honestly, it's usually just total chaos. Look at the dev. They're like literally drowning in binders, and the PO is just yelling, "Build it." The thing is, these specs, they're heavy and, well, they lack empathy. We forget the human at the other end. I mean, saying "I want buttons" isn't really a requirement. It's just a guess. Enter the user story. See, it isn't some, 10-page specification essay. It's actually the simplest, smallest way to describe a need. Think of it like Tinder for product requirements. I mean, it's short, intriguing, and it's basically meant to lead to a date. A meeting. It's not the destination, right? It's just the conversation starter to get things moving. Here we have what I call the golden formula. It's really straightforward. As a user, I want goal, so that benefit. It seems almost too easy, but people actually mess this up quite a bit. The reason it works is that it forces empathy. It basically puts the team in the shoes of a real person instead of just listing out tasks. Moving on to slide 5, we've got the caffeine addict. I mean, just look at him, the spirals in the eyes, the constant shaking. He's desperate for that flat white, but he just can't deal with waiting in line. The point is, we don't just build features. We really feel that user's pain. Like we've actually been there. We totally get it. Moving on to slide 6, this is our forgetful shopper case study. The user story here is pretty classic, right? I want push notifications so I don't buy 15 cans of tuna again. But, it's not just about the technical feature. It's emotional. The developer realizes the goal is clear, but they're actually fixing a glitch in how the user's brain works. They're really bridging that gap between what they need and what they actually remember to do. Okay, look at this slide. It's not a document, it's a fire. I really love this because, well, we often try to write these huge novels, right? But the story itself, it's just the spark. It's that little match, the nudge. The real clarity comes when everyone, the PO, devs, QA, sits around and, actually talks. Don't over-document. Just write enough to start the conversation. All right, so slide 8. This is what I call the Hall of Shame for user stories. We see stuff like, as a user, I want buttons all the time. And, well, it tells us nothing. And the business side, I want profit. Yeah, don't we all? But the code can't just magically make money. If your persona is just user, you're doing it wrong. You gotta be specific or it's just noise. Moving on to slide 9, let's talk about the real hero, acceptance criteria. You see the user story on the right? It gives us the why, like this poor gamer whose cat, just yanked the power cord. But while the story sets the context, it's the AC that actually, well, it turns "I want" into "it works." It's the checklist that makes sure we're actually solving the problem we set out to fix. Moving on to slide 10, we're looking at how we actually define done. See, acceptance criteria, it basically acts as a contract, right? It tells the QA person and the dev, really, whether a feature is, truly finished. Like looking at this checklist for game saves. If it doesn't hit every point, it's not done. It just takes the guesswork out of knowing when to move on. All right, so how do we know if a story is actually ready? Well, we use the INVEST model. It's basically a checklist. You want your story to be independent, not tangled with others. It should be negotiable, meaning it's a conversation, not a fixed contract. Then there's valuable, estimable, wait, can we actually size it? And small. Don't make it huge. Finally, it must be testable. If it ticks these, it's ready for prime time. Slide 12 here, the pizza principle. It's pretty simple, right? Look at A. trying to eat the whole pie at once. That's a bloated sprint. It's just too much. But B is where we want to be. We need to, slice stories thinner so they're actually digestible. If the team starts arguing about whether something fits, honestly, that's your sign. It's too big. Just slice it smaller. So, slide 13. The thing is, great stories aren't just written, they're iterated. See, it starts as this, a messy scribble. Then you get a basic draft, like a stick figure. Finally, you refine it into something polished. For example, instead of just, I want login, which is way too vague, it becomes, I want to log in with Google, so I don't forget my password. It's all about that constant evolution, you know? Okay, so moving on to slide 14. I really think of this as a team therapy session. Honestly, refining user stories it's 50% logic, sure, but the other half is just, therapy. If you aren't laughing at your first drafts, those really bad ones, you're probably overthinking it. Just workshop it out loud. Keep talking until it actually sounds human, right? It makes the whole process way less stressful. So this brings us to the final truth. See, we often get bogged down in the technical bits, but at the end of the day, code just runs the system. What actually drives that code? It's stories. It's the human element. So if we start with the user, the heart, right, and keep it simple, we stay sane. Don't lose the person behind the screen. Yeah.